Farming sims have always been a comfort genre for me. Whether it's growing crops, customizing your farm, or romancing townies, it's all about building a life you love. So when I picked up Sunnyside, a game that promised a Persona-like game implementing cozy farming, social sim elements, and even turn-based combat, I was more than ready to fall in love. But after spending quite a few hours with it, I have mixed feelings. It's a game that looks like it would have all the makings of an incredible cozy game, but when you peel back the layers, it leaves a lot to be desired. Let's start with what Sunnyside does right, because when it comes to customization, this game really goes all in. Your character has an impressive range of personalization options, including gender identity across a full spectrum. It's genuinely refreshing to see a game offer this kind of range without making it a one-and-done slider. And it doesn't stop there. I found myself switching up my character's style with the seasons, playing around with outfits and aesthetics, which became one of my favorite parts of the experience. The same goes for the farm design. You get a lot of room to work with, and the layout freedom is great. I liked experimenting with how I place things, and there's a satisfying rhythm to growing, selling, and upgrading. Buying supplies directly from your smartphone was a modern twist that I liked. No need to run around town every time I wanted to stock up. The gardening system is fast and fluid too, not bogged down like in some other farming sims. Honestly, if Sunnyside were just a farming sim, I'd be a lot more positive overall. However, it's impossible to avoid comparing Sunnyside to games like Stardew Valley or the My Time series. The similarities are clear. These games feature cozy farm lives, romance, crafting, and community interaction. But truthfully, Sunnyside should consider itself lucky to even be in the same conversation. There's heart here, no doubt. You can feel that the developers cared, but good intentions and occasional charm don't make a good game. This isn't a hate review. I wanted to love this game, but it's a case of high potential being dragged down by technical issues, confusing systems, and a lack of cohesion across the board. The story follows familiar terrain for farming sim fans. You move to a quiet town, start a new life, and slowly build connections with your neighbors. It's not groundbreaking, and it doesn't need to be. These games thrive on small, personal stories, and to Sunnyside's credit, that part shines at times. There are meaningful character arcs, genuine emotion, and a good amount of diversity. The writing reminds me of Persona's social links, something I really enjoyed. It's more about the relationships you build and the plot pushing you forward, and honestly, in this genre, that's okay. But again, the problem is execution. Some systems, like the dating mechanic, on the surface are ambitious. 25 romanceable characters? A gender expression scale that actually affects who you can date? That sounds awesome, and I genuinely loved getting to know these characters. However, offering a full gender spectrum ended up feeling more restrictive than inclusive. There were characters I wanted to romance only to realize I was locked out because of where I fell on the gender spectrum slider. I respect the idea behind the system, but in practice, I would much prefer a player sexual mechanic instead. And then there's the biggest letdown. No marriage, no kids. In a genre where games like Stardew Valley, The Sims, and the My Time series have nailed these systems, this felt like a major omission, especially when the devs outright said they weren't including marriage or kids because no one does it right. That answer honestly rubbed me the wrong way. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing. And even if they had chosen to leave those out, the world would have felt fuller if it at least had some children as NPCs, but there's none. Zip. It makes the world feel oddly hollow, like something's just missing. And yes, I am aware the lack of children is a story feature. It doesn't make it feel any less empty. Even a dying town would have at least some children. Gameplay is where Sunnyside really starts to unravel. It plays like an early access title, but it's not. It's a full release that feels unfinished. Many systems are poorly explained or buggy, and I found myself getting completely lost more than once. The combat system, which should be a highlight, falls flat. It's turn-based and supposedly inspired by Persona, but it lacks any real depth. You've got a deck-building mechanic using a Fuda, spells and effects you can collect and use in battles. At first, it's neat, but pretty quickly the depth just isn't there. The fights are too easy, there's little variety in strategy, and the combat starts to feel more like a chore than a fun change of pace. It's a shame because I genuinely wanted to enjoy this system. I love games like Final Fantasy and Persona, but here, the execution just wasn't strong enough to keep me engaged. Even more frustrating is that combat doesn't really have meaningful weight in the overall progression. It's there, but it never truly matters. Quests are another mixed bag. Early on, they feel rewarding, helping locals, unlocking new systems, getting to know characters. But after a while, the structure becomes repetitive. Hey, remember how you had to take 10 pictures of really hard to find bugs? Well, do that again, 100 more times. And that's not the worst part. In order to complete most of these quests, it requires you to build something or craft it, and it takes so dang long. Need nails? Gotta wait a full day. Need something from a store? Better hope it's not closed. And if you're missing ingredients or building materials, expect to do a lot of waiting and running around. For a cozy game, this kind of forced delay can really kill the flow. Now, let's talk visuals. On one hand, the town itself is quite beautiful. It has this relaxing, small town vibe with nice set design and pleasant color palettes. The characters' portraits are cute and stylish, clearly inspired by anime aesthetics. But then you zoom in, and that's where the cracks show. The designs feel outdated, the animations are stiff, and there's a weird disconnect between the portraits and the 3D models. Performance also tanks in outdoor areas. Even indoor scenes stutter. On a high-end PC, this shouldn't happen. I spent more time than I'd like watching loading screens or waiting for the game to catch up. It breaks immersion hard. Audio is one of Sunnyside's more consistent areas. The ambient nature sounds are calming, and the background music has a nice lo-fi, chill vibe. It adds to the cozy mood without demanding attention. It's not the most amazing, mind-blowing soundtrack I've ever heard, but I never found myself annoyed or wanting to mute it, which is a win in this kind of game. This one's tough. You'll get playtime out of Sunnyside, no question. It's a simulator, and by nature, these games can eat up hours. But is it worth $30? Only if you're extremely patient. The systems are janky, progression is slow, and there's very little payoff for your time investment. You're not getting value from polish, you're getting value from sheer time killing. So, if you just want something to casually tinker with and you don't mind bugs or slow pacing, maybe. But if you want a smoother, more rewarding experience, there are better options. My Time at Sandrock, Coral Island, Stardew, even Harvestella all offer more for the same price point or less. So, where does this leave us? Well, Sunnyside is a game with heart. There's clear passion behind it, and it has moments that shine, especially in customization, farming, and the character writing. But it's also a game that feels half-finished in many ways. The performance issues, lackluster combat, limited romance mechanics, and missing core features like marriage or children, they all add up. I want to love this game, and if the devs actually continued to polish the game, maybe I could. So it was unfortunate to find out that it seemed they all but gave up on the game. So with that in mind, it's hard to recommend without major caveats. If you are craving a farming sim with a unique twist and are willing to overlook the flaws, there's something here for you. But if you're looking for a more complete, polished experience, this is not the game. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts on Sunnyside down in the comments. Did it work for you, or did it leaving you feeling the same way I did?